Spoiler alerts. How many times have you heard that phrase in the past week or so? Honestly, more and more these days, spoiler alerts have been popping up about TV shows, books, films, even video games, for crying out loud. But how has this fad sort of grown up so quickly throughout these last couple of years? My name is Angus Burton, and we're going to be discussing spoilers today. I mean, honestly, over the last couple of decades, we've been seeing spoiler alerts grow greater and greater, mostly through social networking. I mean, to be honest, if you go back and think about Empire Strikes Back, for example, since there wasn't any Facebook or MySpace or Twitter or so on, it was very difficult to get the answers out to everybody. In fact, the closest which you could do is one person going into a supermarket, getting a megaphone out and going, "Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father!" I do apologise to anyone who hasn't seen episode 5 yet. If so, then, well, you shouldn't have watched a video on spoilers, should you? Moving on. Now you can see trailers at the click of a button through YouTube, rather than having to wait around at the cinema and fingers crossed that you're going to see the trailer which you want before the next movie which you see. Or having to interpret what you're going to see through the movie's poster, which is spread out all across the cinemas. But now thanks to YouTube videos, you can discuss them in comments below, you can spread them across your own social networking pages, and open them up to individual discussions. But another question which comes to mind is, when exactly are you allowed to talk about a spoiler in a film? I mean, is there some sort of duration in which you have to wait before you can start discussing about different films, depending on how long it's been out, how long it's been released, has it come out to DVD? And honestly, there's no right or wrong answer. By the way, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, the Titanic sinks at the end. And Bruce Willis was a ghost the entire time. Alternatively, they've been studying through the Huffington Post and Psychology Today about a new concept known as the spoiler paradox. The spoiler paradox dictates that those who have heard the ending to a certain story gain a greater depth and admiration for the overall saga, whilst those who have to find out through chronological order generally only see the very bare minimum. But for those of you who are still bent on trying to avoid every single spoiler which you can find, sticking your fingers in your ears and such, I set forward these guidelines to follow by. Of course, this differs depending on the individual which you're speaking to, but overall I say you're set if you follow these rules. Rule number 1, focus namely on episode, character, and location. You can use any one of these three when you're discussing a certain TV show or a certain film. Rule number 2, avoid actions, especially ones involving life or death situations and secrets and revelations within the story which we have not recognized so far. Rule number 3, Superman's not really dead. No, I'm just kidding with you. Or maybe not. Real rule number 3, always be prepared for negative feedback if you don't follow rules 1 and 2. If you follow these guidelines, generally you should be okay as far as discussing storylines from any different media. So usually this is the point when I ask you guys, what do you think about this video? But instead, I want you to go into the comments below, write out your favorite spoiler, and which ones have you been a victim of, or which ones have you dished out to your friends, by accident or on purpose. Don't forget also to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. The spoiler paradox dictates that those who have seen and heard the ending to The spoiler paradox dictates the spoiler paradox dictates that those who have seen and heard the ending of a certain story give a more greater and the spoiler paradox dictates. Yeah.